What's happening, everybody? So in this video, I want to go over some tips, tricks, guidelines, things to do before you take your car to the track. Now, if you're new to drag racing, this is going to be kind of a good checklist for you to go by once you start getting ready to get the car and yourself to the track. Once you've made that decision, there's some things you're going to need to know and some things you're going to need to remember while you're at the track. If you've been doing this for a while, it might kind of work as a bit of a reminder for things you might have been forgetting to do. I've got my dry erase board up here, so I'm going to be looking, back and forth here and there, just kind of to keep pace. I'm going to try not to get too far off track. I know I have a tendency to ramble sometimes, and I'm doing it right now, as a matter of fact. So let's get started. First, check for any leaks. Leaks can come from anything. Could be radiator, could be brake lines, could be an oil leak. Anything that has a fluid has the potential to leak. Check to make sure that all of those systems are sealed and operating properly. There is no place for any extra fluid on a drag strip or any track for that matter, and what may just be a minor nuisance on the street could lead to pretty severe and catastrophic consequences on the drag strip. So check your car for any leaks, make sure that it is fit to go down the track, basically. Second thing you want to do, nut and bolt the car. That's slang for go over every component on the car, make sure that lug nuts are torqued to the proper specification, make sure that hose clamps are in the right place, that they're not over tightened or under tightened. Basically give the car a good once over, and that applies to new and older cars as well. Brand new cars are not perfect from the factory, as I've documented with my Challenger here. So yeah, give the car a good once over, nut and bolt, so to speak. And nut and bolt also applies to consumable products, brakes, brake pads mainly in this context, hoses and belts. What you don't want to have is, you don't want to have a situation where you've got no leaks, but let's say those belts and hoses aren't that fresh anymore. Make sure you've got fresh components. The problem is under high heat, high stress, high temperature situations, those components can fail. And if a hose fails, obviously that's a big problem. You've got high pressure coolant going all over the place. Chances are you're not running distilled water. That's going to be antifreeze, which is slick. Can cause a big problem on the top end of the track, which is typically when they let go. Other thing is belts. Make sure they're not frayed or cracked or anything like that. A bad belt under high stress conditions, if it frays or if it breaks completely, can wrap itself around one of those hoses, tear that thing completely up, and again, you've got a major problem with coolant flying all over the place, and that's never good. So check that, make sure that those are in good working order. Clean the car up. This is one that kind of, you would think that people would have already done, but it just kind of bears, well, let me say this. Bear in mind that anything inside your car that is loose has the potential to be a ballistic chunk flying through your car. And that's not just in the worst case scenarios. It is just from the sheer force of the launch of your car. You're gonna have stuff flying around, and it's not that something's gonna fly and hit you in the head and hurt you. I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about things that are flying around, maybe land on the floor, get into the footwell of the car, could cause a problem with control. So again, clean out your car. There's no need for any extra stuff in your car besides it's just extra weight. Just make sure it's clean on the inside. It's about clean on the outside. What you don't want to have is, you don't want to have something that's filthy, dirty at the track. Not that it's, it's not a beauty contest, but again, you want to make sure that you don't have any dirt, debris that's going to be, in your fender well or anything like that, that when you shock the car on the launch is going to fall out and be all over the, the launch area of the track. I've seen it before, and it's a real pain in the ass, and it does create a problem because now you've got dust, dirt, or debris right there where you need the most traction possible. So the guy behind you is definitely going to be cussing you. Clean your car up, man. Don't be a slob. Other thing, check fluid levels, coolant, brake fluid, and your oil levels. You got to remember that under high stress, high torque, high acceleration loads, your if you don't have the, your oil level in the right range, you may suffer from oil starvation. So make sure that that oil level is in the right spot. Last thing you want is low oil pressure when you are really putting the sticks to that engine. Also check your brake fluid level. Again, high torque, high acceleration levels. If you don't have enough brake fluid, there's a potential for problems there as well. Coolant, just make sure you got plenty of coolant, but check it when it's cold, don't check it hot. Check your tire pressures. Make sure you've got proper tire pressure all around your car. You'd be shocked as far as, just the way that the car can handle with just slight variances in your tire pressures. So again, make sure your tire pressures are at the recommended levels. And last but not least, do not forget to turn off your air conditioner. Listen, if you're going to the track, I understand it's hot, you're sitting in the car, you're in the staging lanes, and that sucks, I get it. But the last thing you want to do is have a drip, drip, drip of your AC condenser as you're pulling up to the staging lights. You can get flagged for it. Some tracks are more tuned in to those types of issues than others, but again, all you're doing is getting a fluid down onto a surface where guys need to have the most traction possible. So again, just something to think about as well. Don't forget to do that. So for yourself, if this is your first time to the track, there are plenty of videos online that will teach you how to stage your car. In other words, when you're coming up to the Christmas tree, what those bulbs mean, your pre-stage and then your staged bulbs. Know what that means before you get to the track. Don't be that person that is relying on the track official to stage your car for you. The problem is that chances are you might have somebody sitting right next to you that they're pre-staged, they're ready to go. All they're doing is heat soaking their car while you're trying to figure out what to do. It breaks everybody's concentration, and by the time the guy says you're staged, believe me, the guy that's running the tree is going to be sick of waiting on you. He's going to hit that button and you're not even going to realize the lights turned green. So again, learn how to stage your car before you go to the track. Do your homework, basically. Second thing is tree etiquette. Okay, look, this is something that isn't followed too much anymore, but it really should be. Don't double bulb somebody. And what that means is you pull up to the line, you do a burnout, or let's say you avoid the water box and you pull right up into the staging area and you pre-stage the car and then you stage it. Don't be that guy. If somebody's doing a burnout, let him go ahead and finish his burnout, roll up to the line with him, pre-stage with him, and then go ahead and once you've both pre-staged, you can go ahead and roll into the stage, trip the stage bulb, and then you're good to go. Just don't be that guy that just sits up and, rolls up and double bulbs somebody. It's an etiquette thing, and, it's like, farting at the dinner table. Just don't do that. Another thing, be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of the environment that you're in. There's a lot of movement going around in the track. You've got guys going to staging lanes, coming back from staging lanes, going to tech, coming from tech. You've got people walking all around you when you're in your car. Just be aware of that. Head on a swivel. Make sure that you remember that you are responsible for the health and safety of not only yourself, but for those that are around you. So again, just be aware. There's people that they're in their own head, so to speak. They're trying to get to the staging lanes, or they're trying to get to tech, or whatever they're doing. They might be driving around in their car. They're not looking around. It's your job to be their eyes for them. So again, be aware, keep your head on a swivel, and make sure that you are being responsible for your own safety as well as the safety that's, of those around you. All right, here's one. Look, it's the be cool factor. Don't be that guy. Look, what I mean by that is don't be the asshole that I was just talking about a minute ago. When you're at the track, you have to remember that because there's so many moving parts, and because there's so much, there's so much of a competitive atmosphere, don't let that competitive atmosphere turn you into an asshole. For one, you might roll into a bigger asshole than yourself, and I've seen that plenty of times at the track. I've experienced it myself, and it's not a lot of fun when you're dealing with somebody who's all of a sudden turned themselves, in their own mind anyway, into a superhero. It's never any fun to have to shut that down, and it just kind of ruins the night for everybody else. So be cool, be helpful too. If you see somebody that you think might need some help, or if you see somebody that might be a little bit confused and you know better than they do, don't be afraid to help them out. It really is a community, and be a part of that community in a positive way. Don't add negatively. Be a positive influence for those that are around you. But you can still talk a little shit, don't worry. That's still acceptable. Okay, so stuff to bring with you. Make sure you bring a helmet. A lot of the modern cars, I mean, Challengers, Mustangs, Camaros, any of the American pony cars, so to speak, or muscle cars, they're going to be fast enough to where you will be required to have a helmet, at least at most NHRA tracks or even in some IHRA tracks. But it's still just good practice. Getting back to, remember that stuff I was talking about, the cars and things going wrong at the big end of the track? Look, it doesn't matter how fast you're going. If you bump your head at 2 miles an hour, it still hurts. And if something does, God forbid, go wrong, you want to make sure that the old melon's protected. And it could be through no fault of your own. It's probably the guy that ran before you, but just make sure that you're protecting your head no matter what. It's good practice. And another cool thing about a helmet that it'll do is it keeps you a bit more focused in a way. Some of the louder noises that could be going on around you, maybe the guy next to you has got a really loud car. If you're first, getting new to the track and you're not used to it, that kind of muffling of that sound can kind of help to calm you down a little bit, keep you focused, and keep some of those distractions from affecting you. Also, don't forget closed-toed shoes and long pants, or look, here's the thing. Long pants, I don't know, some enforce it, some don't. It's kind of hard to tell somebody to go throw on a pair of pants. But the closed-toed shoe thing is a big deal. Don't try to run your car in flip-flops. Main reason why is because it's not affixed to your foot. And so you're going down the track, and if the shoe slips off your foot or something like that, slips underneath your foot, well, now it becomes a major safety issue. So again, closed-toed shoes, tennis shoes are the best bet to go for you guys. So anyway, hope that helps you out. Again, I got to thinking I hadn't made a video like this, tips, tricks, things to remember, stuff like that. If you've got some more tips and tricks that you've learned that I didn't cover, post them in the comments below. Again, I hope that helps. See you on the next one, y'all. Adios.